Imagine this. You've done everything right. You pay your bills on time, you don't carry a huge balance, and you've had the same credit card for 5 years. You go to apply for a mortgage or a car loan, feeling confident, only to have the lender look you in the eye and tell you your score is a 680. Not bad, but not great. You're confused, you're frustrated, and worst of all, that mediocre score is about to cost you an extra $40,000 in interest over the life of your loan. If that feels like a gut punch, it's because it is. You're playing a game where the rules are hidden and the house always wins. My name is Zack, and I spend way too much time thinking about credit algorithms and banking loopholes. If you're someone who is tired of watching your credit score plateau despite doing everything right, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Look, here's the thing. Most people don't realize about the credit system in 2026. It is not a measure of how financially responsible you are. It is a measure of how profitable you are to a bank. The system doesn't want you to have a 0% interest rate. It wants you hovering in that good but not great zone so they can squeeze you for every penny of interest. But today, we're going to break this system. I'm going to show you the 15-3 hack, a strategy so simple yet so effective that banks literally hate when people find out about it. Most gurus tell you that as long as you pay your bill by the due date, you're fine. That is a total lie. If you wait until the due date to pay your credit card, you've already lost the game. Why? Because of a little thing called the statement closing date. Most people think the due date and the closing date are the same thing. They aren't. And that misunderstanding is exactly why your score is stuck in the 600s or low 700s. Let's look at the math. Let's say you have a $5,000 limit and you spend $2,000 throughout the month. You're a good soldier, so you pay off that $2,000 on the due date. You think your utilization is 0%, right? Wrong. The bank reported your balance to the credit bureaus on the statement closing date, which was 3 weeks before your due date. So as far as FICO is concerned, you're using 40% of your credit. And in the world of 2026 credit scoring, anything over 10% is a massive red flag that dragged your score down like an anchor. This is where the 15-3 hack comes in. It's a tactical strike on the credit bureau's reporting cycle. Here's the breakdown. 15 days before your statement closing date, not your due date, your closing date, you make your first payments. You pay half of your balance. Then, 3 days before that same closing date, you pay off the remaining balance. Now, you might be thinking, Zack, why 2 payments? Why not just one? Look, it's about the psychology of the algorithm. By making that first payment 15 days out, you're artificially lowering your utilization before the snapshot is even taken. By the time the bank goes to report your data to Experian or TransUnion 3 days before the cycle ends, your balance looks nearly non-existent. You are essentially cleaning your profile twice a month. This signals to the algorithm that you have massive liquidity and zero risk. Here's what most people don't realize. The 15-3 hack doesn't just lower your utilization, it increases your payment history frequency. While everyone else is getting one on-time check mark per month, you are effectively doubling the positive data points hitting your file. It's like extra credit for your bank account. And let's talk about the specific numbers for a second. In 2026, the difference between a 680 score and 820 score on a $400,000 mortgage is roughly 1.5% in interest. That might sound small, but do the math. Over 30 years, that 1.5% difference is $122,430. That's $100,000 of your wealth being handed over to a bank just because you didn't know how to time your payments. It's a total shell game and you've been the one losing. But it gets even more interesting when you look at the psychological drivers behind why we stayed in debt. Our brains are hardwired for loss aversion. We hate seeing money leave our checking account. So we wait until the very last second, the due date, to pay our bills because it feels like we're holding on to our money longer. But the math is screaming at us that this delay is the most expensive mistake you can make. You're not holding on to money, you're burning your credit reputation for the sake of a few extra days of a higher checking account balance. Now, some of you are going to say, Zack, I don't have the cash to pay 15 days early. Here's the kicker. If you can't afford to pay it 15 days early, you can't afford what you're buying, period. You're living on credit you don't have, and the 15-3 hack is the ultimate BS detector for your personal finances. So once you've mastered the 15-3 timing, you've essentially hacked the when of the credit game. But to hit that elusive 850, we need to talk about the how much. This is where most people get stuck in the 740, 750 plateau. They think they've peaked. They haven't. They're just missing the capacity multiplier. Look, here's the thing. Your credit score is a ratio. If you have a $10,000 limit and you spend $1,000, you're at 10% utilization. That's okay by 2026 standards, but if you have a $100,000 limit and you spend that same $1,000, your utilization is now 1%. In the eyes of the FICO algorithm, you've gone from a reliable borrower to a financial deity. You have massive spending power, but you choose not to use it. That is the ultimate psychological trigger for banks to give you the best rates on the planet. Now, you might be thinking, Zach, how am I supposed to get a $100,000 limit without begging the bank? You don't beg, you strategically demand. Most people wait for the bank to offer them a limit increase. That is a loser strategy. You should be requesting a credit limit increase every 6 months like clockwork. But, and this is a big but, you have to do it without a hard inquiry. In 2026, most major banks like Chase, Amex, and Citi allow for soft pull limit increases through their mobile apps. If you aren't hitting that request increase button twice a year, you are leaving score points on the table. It's a total shell game. The bank wants to see if you're hungry for debt. By asking for more space but not using it, you're proving you don't need their money. And ironically, the less you eat money, the more the credit system wants to give it to you. This leads us to a very dark part of the credit world: hard inquiries. I see so many people shotgunning applications for 5 different cards in a weekend because they want the sign-up bonuses. Look, that is financial suicide for your score. Every hard pull is a 5 to 10 point hit that lingers for 2 years. If you have 5 pulls in a year, the algorithm flags you as credit hungry, which is just bank speak for this person is about to go broke. Instead, use the inquiry shield method. Before you apply for anything, call the bank. Ask them specifically which bureau they pull from. If they pull from Experian and your Experian report is already heavy with inquiries, you walk away. You don't play a game where the odds are stacked against you. You wait, or you find the bank that pulls from TransUnion. You are the captain of this ship. Stop letting the bank steer you into a storm. Now, let's get into the psychology of why this 15-3 hack works so fast. It's because of something called trended data. The old credit models just looked at a snapshot, but the new 2026 models look at your behavior over time. They want to see if you're a transactor or a revolver. A revolver carries a balance and pays interest. The bank loves them for profit but hates them for risk. A transactor pays in full every month. By using the 15-3 hack, you appear to the system as a super transactor. You aren't just paying in full, you're paying before they even ask. You are effectively front-running the bank's own reporting system. This is where it gets really interesting. When you hit that 800 plus score, the world changes. You stop being a customer and starts being a partner. When I call my bank with an 820 score, I don't talk to a bot. I get the platinum tier service. I get the annual fees waived. I get the 0% APR offers for 18 months just for fun. The math of an 850 score isn't just about the mortgage rate. It's about the hidden economy that only the top 1% of scores get to access. So here is your actionable roadmap to the 15-3 finish line. Step 1. Open your bank app right now and find your statement closing date. Not the due date, but closing date. Step 2. Set a calendar alert for 15 days before that date. Pay half your current balance then. Set another alert for 3 days before the closing date. Pay the rest down to $0 or at least down to $10. Why $10? Because sometimes having a $0 balance reported can actually hurt you slightly because the bank thinks the card is inactive. A $10 balance shows you're alive, but you're disciplined. It's the ultimate Goldilocks zone. Look, I know this feels like a lot of work for a number on a screen, but remember the mortgage math we talked about earlier? That $122,000 in interest? That is your retirement. That is your kid's college fund. That is a decade of your life you don't have to spend working a job you hate. The 15-3 hack isn't just about credit. It's about buying back your freedom from a system that is designed to keep you paying interest until the day you die. Now you might be thinking, is this legal? Yes, it's your money and your debt. You're just choosing to settle the tab on your own terms. The banks won't tell you about this because they want that 24% APR. They want you to slip up. They want you to be normal. But normal in America is being broke and stressed. We aren't doing normal on this channel. If you've made it this far, you're already ahead of 99% of the population. You have the tool, you have the math, and you have the roadmap. The only thing left to do is execute. If this video helped you realize that the credit game is winnable, hit that like button and subscribe. I'm Zack, and I spend way too much time thinking about this so you don't have to.